I had a best friend for 41 years. 41 years. We met in 1952 at a church picnic in Ohio. She was wearing a yellow dress and laughing at something I hadn't heard. I thought, I want to know that woman, and I did. For 41 years, I knew her better than I knew anyone on this earth. Then my husband died in 1993, and within 6 months she was gone too. Not dead, just gone. Stopped calling, stopped coming by, stopped being there in the way she had been there for 4 decades. I'm 92 years old, and I want to talk to you about the friends who disappear when you need them most, because what I learned from losing Dorothy changed everything I thought I knew about love. It will change something for you too. When my husband Harold passed, I was 71 years old. We had been married for 47 years. He was not a perfect man, but he was my man. And when he was gone, the silence in that house was so loud, I used to turn on the television just to hear another voice. Dorothy came to the funeral. She held my hand through the whole service. She sat with me until midnight that first night, and the second, and the third. She said, Margaret, I am not going anywhere. You're not going through this alone. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? 41 years. We had buried parents together. We had sat with each other through sick children and difficult husbands and the 1,000 small griefs that accumulate in a life. She had always been there. For the first month she was. She called every day. She brought food. She drove me to appointments. She was exactly who she had always been. Then something shifted. I don't know exactly when. There was no single moment I can point to. It was more like a tide going out. The calls became every other day, then twice a week, then once a week, then less. I told myself she was busy. She had her own life, her own family, her own concerns. I told myself I was being needy, that I was expecting too much, that grief makes you selfish, and I needed to give her space. I made every excuse I could think of to protect the image I had of her. By the end of that first year, she had essentially disappeared. Not dramatically. There was no fight, no confrontation, no moment of rupture. She just slowly, quietly withdrew, like she had done the minimum required and now considered her obligation fulfilled. I saw her at church sometimes. She would hug me and say we need to get together soon. We never did. I spent 2 years trying to understand what I had done wrong. 2 years of replaying conversations, searching for the moment I had offended her, wondering if my grief had been too much, too long, too heavy for her to carry. I wrote her a letter once. She responded with 3 lines, polite, distant, final. And then one afternoon, my daughter sat down across from me and said something I wasn't ready to hear. She said, Mom, Dorothy didn't leave because of anything you did. Dorothy left because she doesn't know how to be present for real pain. Some people can only be your friend when things are manageable. I sat with that for a long time because it required me to do something very difficult. It required me to stop making excuses for Dorothy and see her clearly, not as the woman I had needed her to be for 41 years, but as the woman she actually was. And those are not always the same person. Here's what I have learned at 92 years old about friendship. Most friendships are fair weather arrangements. They're maintained in the good years, in the easy years, in the years when everyone is healthy and employed, and no one needs anything too difficult from anyone else, and they feel deep and real and permanent because nothing has ever tested them. But depth is not measured in years. It is measured in what people do when staying is hard. Anyone can be your friend when you are fine. The ones who stay when you're not fine, those are your people. After Dorothy, I did something I should have done much earlier in my life. I stopped measuring friendship by history and started measuring it by presence. I asked myself honestly, who has actually shown up? Not who said the right things at the funeral. Not who texted me a heart on the hard anniversaries. Who actually showed up, sat with me, asked the difficult questions and stayed for the difficult answers? The list was shorter than I expected, but the people on it were worth more than everyone who wasn't. I want to say something about the people who disappeared, because I spent too many years being angry at them, and I want to save you that time. They are not bad people. Most of them are simply frightened people. Grief and crisis frighten them because grief and crisis remind them of their own mortality, their own fragility, their own inevitable losses. Being near your pain is too close to their own pain, so they retreat. Not out of cruelty, out of fear. Understanding that doesn't mean you have to welcome them back. You get to decide who has access to you and on what terms. But understanding it means you stop carrying the weight of their absence as if it were a verdict on your worth. It isn't. It never was. Dorothy and I never repaired what was lost. I made peace with that eventually. What I could not make peace with for a long time was my own blindness. 41 years, and I had never truly tested what we had. I'd assumed depth where there was only duration. I'd confused a long friendship with a strong one. They're not the same thing. So here's what I want you to do. The first thing, think of the people who showed up during your hardest time. Write their names down. Call one of them this week and tell them what their presence meant to you. Those people are rare. They deserve to know you see them. The second thing, release the ones who disappeared, not for their sake, for yours. You cannot build a present life while mourning what people failed to be in your past. Some people will always love you from a comfortable distance. That is their limitation, not your failing. The third thing, ask yourself honestly whether you have shown up for someone else in the way you needed people to show up for you. Someone in your life needs that friend right now, and you have the chance to be something Dorothy couldn't be. Don't waste it. I'm 92 years old. I've outlived most of the people I have loved. My husband, my parents, two of my dearest friends, and Dorothy, who is still alive somewhere in Ohio. What I know now that I didn't know at 50 or 60 or even 70 is this. The quality of your life is determined almost entirely by the quality of the people you let into it. Not the number, not the history, the quality. One person who stays is worth 100 who mean well. I wish I had understood that 41 years earlier. Dorothy wore a yellow dress the day we met. I still think of her when I see that color. But I stopped waiting for her a long time ago. You should stop waiting too.